Praise Jesus. I'm listening to God Logic and that. Um, they're talking about this. I had this Nigerian Christian on, and he's talking about how he's seen his parents and they get killed. What he's got to understand is it's the West and the French. They were funding the Nigerian government, so they're funding the terrorists, and that's why they got kicked out. That's why Ibrahim Traore and these two other leaders kicked the French and the West out. They're trying to get rid of the terrorism. The West was funding it. Do you know why? To put their greedy hands in and take the resources from the Africans. You got to look a bit deeper. Yeah, that's why I love Ibrahim Traore. He's the one who's exposed all of it, and he's getting rid of them. He's trying to get rid of the terrorists out of the country, and the Africans are rising up and becoming the people again. They're getting rid of the terrorism. It was the West who was funding it, like they were doing in the Middle East. The CIA was funding Taliban. You got to look who's funding these people. The Africans are trying to get rid of the terrorists in their country. Just go watch what they're doing, man. Ibrahim, I forgot the other two leaders. God bless them, man. They're trying to get rid of the terrorists in their country. It was the West who was funding them. Where do you think all the weapons and that are coming from? Yeah, why do you think they get the allies, like they've allied with China and Russia? Because Russia's giving them weapons so they can get rid of terrorism. Yeah, it's the West who was funding it, man. Because they want to have their power in that region. Did you see? Like, this is where Ibrahim Traore he caught Trump out. This is why I've turned against Trump. Ibrahim Traore said he can't even say the leader of Nigeria's country because he's the one, because he's funding him. Trump and the French are all funding this guy who's making terrorists to kill the Christians, and Trump doesn't even call him out because he's supporting him, and so is the French supporting the terrorists. Well, they say, "Oh, all these Christians are getting killed." Yeah, but you're helping it. You're funding it, you idiot. And Ibrahim Traore and his mates and the other leaders of the countries around of the, what do they call, the Sahel? Yeah, they're all getting together to get rid of the terrorists, the ones that the West were funding. So funny, all people going, "Why are they killing all the Christians?" Well, you say you're Christians while your leaders are funding them to kill the Christians, while Ibrahim Traore and the rest of the group guys in Africa are trying to stop it. They don't want their people to get killed. So funny how they go, "Oh, it's like, yeah, well, the West is funding it." It's Queensland. I'm fucking sweating, and I got a rash, so I got to get rid of it. But you got to understand, it's not the Africans. The West is funding it. And you got Ibrahim Traore. He's awesome. He was chosen by God to help his people. And you should see what's going on there. They're all like they got countries that try, like soldiers of companies are standing down because they know he is for the people, and he's trying to change their continent for the better for the African people. And they're going up against terrorists. But you don't know how many terrorists they have stopped. We're talking hundreds. They are stopping terrorism. That's why they kicked the French and the West out, because they were funding the shit. Ibrahim said he can't even say the leader of the Nigerian country's name because he's funding him. And he's the one who's organising the terrorists, and Trump and the French are going, "Here, have some money." And, "Oh, why is the terrorism? Why are the Christians getting killed?" Because the West are funding it, giving them weapons and everything. So the Africans are trying to stop the terrorism in that country. The West has been funding. Yeah, no shit. But anyway, I'm going to get back to Maccabees 1. I do pray. I pray that the Africans do rise up and take control of their continent. Because It's not the good West people who were there. It's the bad Westerners who were there with their greedy mitts trying to take resources out of Africa. And it's good the Africans are rising to get them out, to get him out. That's why they say white people are evil, because a lot of white people are going there with their hands going, gimme, 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 like a bunch of evil demons. And it's good. I love Abraham Traore. Great man. Chosen by God. And he's trying to get rid of the terrorists. So people don't get killed. So his people aren't getting killed. He does want to help the Nigerians and he's trying, but the West is funding it. He stopped Nigerians going into his country. They landed and said, they're not getting released. What are they doing in my country? And it was funded. It was funded by the West. This is how he found it all. He found out the West was funding it all and going, oh, you think we're stupid? Yeah, they want the French and the West out. That's why they're getting allies with Russia and China, because China aren't going there going, we're going to put our greasy mitts in your stuff. They're actually becoming allies and giving them weapons, helping them out to stop terrorists. Yeah, you didn't realize that, did you? Well, you got to go look at the stuff. Stop listening to Western media. Actually listen to the people of the country. It's sad, man. It's sad, man. It's like the West has got, we like to have the talking points. Yeah, but you're funding it. You're giving the terrorists power and money to kill the African people. Go have a look at the terrorists are. Most of them aren't African. Yeah. Go have a look at it. Actually, people are infiltrating Africa, right, as terrorists to kill Africans. All right, I'm going to read First Maccabees chapter 7. Pray for our brothers in Africa, man, to get the evil people out of their country so they can run their continent. It's been so long, man, and they know it. They've been telling us, like, it's not us. You're funding it. You're coming to yeah, they're just, yeah, enough. The world knows now. Yeah, you have some African countries that have just totally lost up, but there's a lot of great countries there that are trying their best. But you got Western influence. Oh, use a dumb, use a this. It's like, no, they're not. Yous are just lying to the people. Well, South Africa is not the same as other countries like Burkina Faso. What else is there? Uganda, Ghana, and all them countries up the top in the north, right? They're not all the same. Even the Muslims agree that the Hadith contain Allah's revelation. For example, you will see in 10 years, Africa will be different. They get the West out of their countries, it'll be different. They'll be rising, right? Yeah, they got a few countries like they might have to fix up Somalia. Like, come on, snap out of it. You got resources and that. Stop treating your country like a junkyard. They're not all the same. It's a continent with different countries, different people. Yeah, they're African, but they're all different. You got to understand that shit. It's like when you go, what do they have in South America? They have all the different countries and that. The same in Africa. It's a continent, different countries inside it. But anyway, I'm going to get it read Maccabees. God bless you, Abraham Traore. You're a good man. Good man for your people. It's good what you're doing. Get us white people out of your country. Run your country, and I know you can do it. We don't belong there. It's your country. Your people. Stop them bloody terrorists too. Because I know he's doing it. He's the one and the other two leaders. Sorry, I don't know them. I'll get used to it. I'll get used to the other two guys that are with you. They're great leaders too for the African people. They're actually trying to get rid of the terrorists over there. So God bless you. Jesus loves you. Maccabees 1, chapter 7. Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, set forth from Rome in 100. Hang on, I'll turn this down. Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, set forth from Rome in 151st year, sailed with a few men into the city by the sea, and reigned there. As he entered the royal house of his fathers, his army seized Antiochus and Lysias and brought them to him. When he became aware of this action, he said, "Do not show me their faces, So the soldiers put them to death, and Demetrius occupied the throne of his kingdom. Then all the lawless and ungodly men of Israel came to him. Alchemius, who wanted to be a priest, led them. They brought charges against the people before the king, saying, Judas and his brothers have destroyed all your friends and scattered us from our land. Therefore, send a man you trust, and let him see all the destruction he did to us and to the country of the king. Then let him bring punishment to them and all who serve them. The king then appointed Bacchidus, Bacchidus, one of his friends, who ruled the province of beyond the river, for it, for he was prominent in the kingdom and loyal to the king. Then he sent him and the ungodly alchemists, who he appointed to the priesthood, and ordered him to avenge the sons of Israel. They marched on with a large army and came into the land of Judah, and sent envoys to Judas and his brothers with peaceful words full of deceit. But they did not heed their words, for they noticed they came with a large army. Then a delegation of scribes was sent to meet with Alchemius and Bacchidus to request justice. The Hazadenes were the first among the sons of Israel to seek peace with them, for they said, a priest from the seed of Aaron, came with their forces, and he will not do us wrong. The priest spoke peacefully to them and promised them, saying, We will not seek to injure you or your friends. They believed him, but he overtook 60 of their men and put them to death in one day, according to the word which was written. They poured out the flesh of your saints and their blood around Jerusalem, but there was no one to bury them. Then fear and trembling fell upon all the people, for they said, There is no truth and uprightness in them, for they violated the promise and oath they swore. So Bacchidus departed from Jerusalem and marched to Bethzaith. He set forth and captured many of the soldiers who deserted him, and some of the people, and he slaughtered them at the great well. He put Alchemius in charge of the region and left an army with him to serve him. Then Bacchidus returned to the king. Alchemius then strove for the high priesthood, and all who harassed their people also gathered with him. They took control of the country of Judah and damaged Israel greatly. Now Judas saw all the evil Alchemius and those with him had done among the sons of Israel. It was worse than what the Gentiles did. Thus Judas departed to all the regions surrounding Judea and took who had deserted vengeance on the man who had deserted. He forbade those in the city to journey out to the countryside, but when Alchemius realized Judas and his followers were growing strong and knew that he could not prevail against them, he went back and brought evil charges against them before the king. The king then sent Nicanor, one of his renowned commanders who hated and disdained Israel, and ordered him to get rid of the people. Nicanor came up to Jerusalem with a large army, and he sent Judas and his brothers peaceful words full of deceit, saying, Let there be no quarrel between us. I will come peacefully with a few men to see you in person. So he approached Judas, and they greeted each other peacefully, but the adversaries prepared to seize Judas. Then Judas was aware that Nicanor had come with deceit, and he feared him, so he did not care to meet him again. When Nicanor learned his plot had been discovered, he went into battle with Judas at Kafar Salama. Some 500 of Nicanor's soldiers fell. The remainder fled to the city of David. After this, Nicanor went up to Mount Zion. Then some priests came out of the sanctuary along with some elders of the people to greet him in peace, showing him the whole burnt offering which they had sacrificed on behalf of the king. However, he mocked and ridiculed them. He defiled them and spoke with arrogance to them. He also swore an oath angrily, saying, Unless Judas and his troops are delivered into my hands now, then if I come back in peace, I will set this house on fire. Then he stormed out in great rage. The priests then entered and stood facing the altar and sanctuary. They wept and cried out, You choose this place to be called by your name, that it might be a house of prayer and supplication for your people. Take vengeance on this man and on his soldiers, and let them die by the sword. Remember their blasphemies, and let them be alive no longer. Soon Nicanor left Jerusalem and camped at Beth Horon, and the army of Syria joined him. But Judas took position in Adassa, with 3,000 troops. With 3,000 troops, Judas prayed, saying, when the ambassadors from the king uttered blasphemy, your angel went forth and struck 185,000 of the Assyrians. Crush also this army before us today, and let the others know that he spoke blasphemy against your sanctuary, and judge him according to his malice. So the armies faced off in war the 13th day of the month. Adar and Nicanor's army were scattered. He himself was the first to fall in the war. When his soldiers saw Nicanor die, they dropped their weapons and ran. Israel even them a day, chased them a day's journey from Adassa, as far as Gezerah. As they pursued them, that kept blowing the trumpets, sounding the battle call. Then the Israelites went out from all the villages around Judea and outflanked the adversaries. They drove them back to the pursuing army, and they all fell by the sword. Not one of them survived. Then Israel captured the spoils and their possessions. They even beheaded Nicanor and, and severed his right hand, which he had stretched out arrogantly. They carried them and put them on display just outside Jerusalem. So the people were very glad, and they celebrated the day as a day of great joy. A decree came forth to celebrate this day at the same time every year on the 13th day of Adar. Thus, the land of Judah had peace for several days. That was First Maccabees chapter 7. First Maccabees chapter 8. Then Judas learned of the reputation of the Romans, that they were mighty and behaved well toward all who made a pact with them. They can ensure friendship with as many as came to them, indeed, because they were a great strength. People also told him of their warfare and their courageous works they were doing in Gaul, how they conquered them and imposed taxes on them. They also reported what they had done in the country of Spain to take control of their silver and gold mines, and how they dominated the entire region by their careful planning and forbearance. Although the area was a great distance away, the Romans also defeated kings who challenged them from around the world until they subdued them and struck a deadly blow against them, but the others paid them taxes each year. The battle and soundly conquered Philip's and Persia's kings of the Macedonians and others who stood up against them in war. They further conquered Antiochus, the great king of Asia, who went to war against them with 120 elephants and cavalry and chariots and a massive army, but his troops were destroyed by them. They captured him alive and ordered that he and those who would rule in the future should pay large taxes along with hostages. They also took from him the countries of India, Media, and Lydia. Then they gave some of the best of all these territories to King Emans. Umans? The Greeks also plotted to come out. The Greeks also plotted to come against them, but this became known to the Romans, and they sent one of their generals against them. He fought with them, and many wounded fell, and the Romans took their wives and children captive. They robbed them, took their land, pulled down their fortresses, and have to this day enslaved them. They crushed and captured the remaining kingdoms and the islands, as many as would oppose them. But they secured a relationship with their friends and those people who relied on them. Thus they conquered rulers far away and nearby. As many as had heard of their reputation feared them. Those the Romans desire to help and to raise up as kings, they establish. And those kings they wish to dispose, they depose. Wish to depose, they depose, for they have great power. But despite all these, none of the Romans had donned a crown or vested in purple, so as to be magnified by it. Instead, they formed a council for themselves, and 320 senators constantly deliberate concerning the people to help them behave in an orderly fashion. They trust one man to govern them for all year and to rule over their land. Everyone heeds this one leader, and there is no jealousy or strife among them. Now Judas appointed Ephraim, the son of John, son of Achos, and Jason, the son of Eliza, and dispatched them to Rome to build friendship and an alliance, and to free their people from a yoke of bondage, because they realized the Greek kingdom was subjecting Israel to total servitude. So they journeyed to Rome, a very long trip. When they came to the Senate chamber, they said the following: Judas, also named Maccabees, his brother, and the Jewish people sent us here to you to build an alliance and have peace with you, that ye may enlist us as your friends and allies. This proposal pleased the Senate. So this is the copy of the message they issued in reply, inscribed on bronze tablets and sent to Jerusalem to keep there as a record of peace and friendship. May it be well with the Roman people, and the Jewish nation shall respond wholeheartedly as their allies, as the occasion may dictate. If war comes first to Rome or to any of their allies in all their dominion, the Judean nation shall act as their allies wholeheartedly, as the occasion may dictate to them. As to any enemy who wages war, the Jews shall not donate or supply grain, weapons, money, or ships, as Rome has stated, and they shall honor these commitments without getting anything in return. Similarly, should war break out first against the Jewish nation, the Romans shall freely respond as their allies, as inappropriate for them. Further, no grain, weapons, money, or ships will be given to the allies of the enemy. As Rome decided, and they shall hold to these obligations and do so with no deception. Thus, the Romans offer a treaty with the Jews on these terms. If after these agreements take effect, both parties should decide to add or subtract anything, they shall do so by agreement, and whatever they add or subtract shall be binding. Now, regarding the evil Demetrius the king is doing to them, we have sent to him this word. If therefore they appeal to us against you again, we will defend their rights and oppose you, but it on the sea or on land. Maccabees, First Maccabees, chapter 8. Oh man, take it out, yeah. Oh. Never thought reading would be so exhausting. As I read a couple of chapters, I'm starting to get tired. Vegetarian chips, they're good. They have less calories. Only reason I get them because they're not so fatty. I've got the Bible running. Yeah, I've got the movie, the TV show, the movie. I've got Passion of Christ, the Son of God, the Apostle Paul. That's brilliant. That's good. You know the what's his name? Who plays Christ in the Passion of Christ? Yeah, he plays Luke in the Apostle Paul. Go watch that. That's a brilliant graphing of the Apostle Paul. It's really good. The guy who plays Apostle Paul on that, brilliant. Okay. First Maccabees chapter 9. Judas dies in battle. Now Demetrius got word that Nicanor and his men had fallen in battle. So he authorized Bacchides and Alchemius to go a second time into the land of Judah and take the right hand flank of the army with them. Thus they traveled the highway into Gilgal and camped at Mesaloth in Abela. They captured it and many people died. Then in the first month of the 152nd year, they encamped opposite Jerusalem, but they departed there and went to Berai. Berai? 20,000 foot soldiers and 2,000 cavalry with them. Now Judas set up camp in Elasa, and 3,000 chosen men accompanied him. When they saw how large the number of the enemy forces was, they were very afraid, and many sneaked out of the camp. Just 800 men remained among them. When Judas realized his troops had run away and the battle was pressing upon him, he was greatly discouraged and had no time to rally them. Though weary, he said to those who remained, "Let us arise and move out against our enemies. We may yet be able to fight them." But they kept trying to turn him back, saying, "We are not able. Let us rather save our lives now. Let us return with our brothers and fight against them later, for we are too few." But Judas answered, "May it be far from us to do such a thing, to run away from them. If our time has come to die, then let us die courageously for the sake of our people. We will not leave behind a charge against our honor." Then the forces of Bacchides moved out from the camp in formation and stood to encounter them. They mounted troops were and divided into two parts. The mounted troops were divided into two parts, and the sling throwers and the archers advanced before the army. Along with all the chief warriors, Bacchides was on the right flank. Then the phalanx drew near between the companies on both sides and sounded their trumpets. The army of Judas also blew its trumpets. The ground shook by the clamor of the troops, and the battle raged on from morning to nightfall. Judas realized that Bacchides had the strength of his forces on the right flank. So all the stout-hearted men came together with Judas. They demolished the right flank and pursued Bacchides' men all the way to Mount Azotus. When those on the left flank saw that the right flank was broken, they reversed course and followed closely behind the army of Judas. The battle was fierce, and many men on both sides suffered wounds and fell. Judas also fell, and his men fled. Jonathan and Simeon took Judas their brother and buried him in the tomb of his fathers in Modein. They wept for him, and all Israel mourned him with great lamentation for many days, saying, "How the mighty is fallen, Israel's Saviour." Now the abundant acts of Judas, his wars and brave things he did, and his greatness are not recorded, for there were far too many. Jonathan succeeds his brother. After Judas' death, the lawless emerged in all the regions of Israel, and all those rose up who worked evil in those days were there was a very great. After Judas' death, the lawless emerged in all the regions of Israel, and all those rose up who worked evil. In those days, there was a very great famine, and the nation deserted with the evildoers to Bacchides. He chose godless men and appointed them lords of the country. These men sought out and searched for the allies of Judas, bringing them to Bacchides. He took vengeance on them and mocked them. There was great perplexity in Israel, such as had not been seen since the days when the prophets ceased to be seen in their midst. And then all Judas' friends came together and spoke to Jonathan. "Since your brother Judas died, a man like him has not come out of to take on our enemies, namely Bacchides and those from our country who hate us. Therefore, we have now chosen you this day to replace him as our ruler and be our leader in battle." So Jonathan accepted the command at once and rose up in the place of Judas his brother. When Bacchus heard this, he sought to kill him, but Jonathan, Simon, his brother, and everyone with him knew of this, and they escaped to the desert of Teco and camped near the waters of the pool of Ashfar. Bacchus discovered this on the Sabbath, and he and his army all crossed over the Jordan. So Jonathan set John, his brother, as leader of the people, and he begged his Nabatean friends for approval to store their huge amount of baggage with them. But the sons of Jambri from Medeba came out and seized John and left him with everything he had. After these things happened, they told Jonathan and his brother Simon, saying, "The sons of Jambri are holding a great marriage feast, and they are bringing the bride from Nadabath, a daughter of one of the great noblemen of Canaan, with a huge convoy. They remembered the blood of John, their brother, and went up and hid under the cover of the mountain. They raised their eyes and looked, and behold, there was a noisy crowd coming with much baggage. The bridegroom also came forth with friends and brothers to meet them. With tambourines and musicians and many weapons, Jonathan's men rose up against them from an ambush and killed them. Many of the wounded also fell, and the rest fled to the mountains. So they took all their spoils. The wedding was changed to mourning, and the sound of the musician became like a dirge. Thus they avenged their brother's blood and returned to the low ground of the Jordan. Bacchus then heard of this and arrived with a large army on the Sabbath at the banks of Jordan. So Jonathan said to those with him, "Let us stand and fight for our lives, for today is not as yesterday or the day before. Behold, the battle is before us and behind us. The water of the Jordan is on this side and that, and the low ground and thickets and low ground and thicket is not the place to turn aside. Now, therefore, cry out to the heaven that you may be saved from the hand of our adversaries." So the battle was joined at Jonathan, reached out his hand and struck Bacchus, who ducked aside and went behind him. Then Jonathan and his force jumped into the Jordan River, swimming to the other side. Bacchus and his army did not cross over. The Jordan was the Jordan to strike them. About 1,000 of Bacchus' soldiers fell on the ground. Bacchus then returned to Jerusalem and built fortified cities in Judea. The fortresses were in Jericho and Emmaus, Beth Horon, Bethel, Timnath, Pharathon, and Tephon, all with high walls, gates, and bars. He also placed a guard in them, and they were hostile to Israel. Then he strengthened the cities of Bethzer and Gazara and the citadel, and placed armies in them with stores of provision. He also seized the sons of the rulers of the area, holding them hostage under armed guards at the citadel of Jerusalem. Then in the 150 then in the 153rd year, in the second month, Alchemist issued the command to take down the wall of the inner court of the sanctuary. Then he took down the work of the prophets and started to destroy it. At that instant, Alchemist was stricken. His mischief was thwarted. His mouth was shut up and he became paralyzed. He could not even speak a word so as to give orders concerning his property. So Alchemist died then, and there is great pain. When Bacchus saw that Alchemist had died, he returned to King Demetrius. Thus the land of Judah was peaceably for 2 years. Soon all the lawless men deliberated among themselves, saying, "Behold, Jonathan and those with him are living in peace and certitude. Now, therefore, let us bring Bacchus back here, and he will seize them all in one night." So they went and conversed with him, and he departed to come with a large army, secretly sending letters to all his allies in Judea, telling them to capture Jonathan and those who with him but they could not do so because their plot had been discovered. So Jonathan and his men caught about 50 of their countrymen who were the leaders of the agitation and killed them. Then Jonathan, Simon, and those with them departed for Basai in the desert and rebuilt the outpost that had been destroyed and strengthened it. When Bacchus heard of this, he gathered all his army and sent orders to men of Judea. Then he arrived and camped at Bethbasar and attacked it for many days, making engines of war. But Jonathan left Simon, his brother, in the city and headed out into the country with a handful of men. He struck Odemira and his brothers, and the sons of Phasaron inside their tents. Then he launched his attack and entered into the battle with his armies. Meanwhile, Simon and those with him came out of the city and set on fire the engines of war. Once they took the offensive against Bacchus, he was crushed by them. They upset him greatly because his plan of attack was in vain. Also, he was filled with rage, and his adversaries, the lawless men who urged him to come into country so he could come into country, so he killed many of them, and they decided to return the favor. When Jonathan learned of these events, lawlessness men urged to come into the country, so he was many of them, and they decided to return home. When Jonathan learned of these events, he sent envoys to make peace with Bacchus and obtained freedom for the captives. Bacchus accepted the proposal and swore to Jonathan he would not harm him all these days of his life. He returned to the hostages taken early from the land of Judah. Then he returned to the homeland and made no further attempt to come into their country. Thus the sword was laid down in Israel. Then Jonathan settled in Michmash, where he began to judge the people and to destroy the ungodly men of Israel. Maccabees chapter 9. Praise Jesus. God bless. I'm starting to get exhausted again. So God bless. Praise Jesus. Have a good day.